every note in this thing makes me believe with all my heart and soul that they love Pokemon as much as I do, and not a sense of pandering to kids or that this song was less because it was for a children's TV show at all.
Shifting gears a bit, you may remember in our underappreciated Pokemon music episode we did a while back that the Italian dub of the anime for the first, 10 seasons or so they did not do a dub of the English opening theme as most Western countries did. They did their own thing. And Anne, it sounds like you've picked out a couple that we didn't talk about back then to sort of discuss now. First off, did you have anything biographical about the musicians involved in these songs?
Yeah, I did. All of the tracks I picked, and I believe all of the songs they wrote for their opening and ending themes were done by kind of the same people. It was overseen by Alessandra Valeri Manera. She wrote the lyrics for all of them, really. And her name comes up on a lot of compilation albums of popular themes and anime themes and children's cartoons and the like. And then the singers were Giorgio Vanni and Cristina D'Avena. And I apologize if I'm pronouncing them wrong. I'm sure I am, but I've not met them to ask them. But they are basically a trio that are on almost all of the tracks in the Italian anime music. And on many children's cartoons in Italy. And Ms. Manera, she's often credited as the manager of children's programming for the Mediaset Group, which was in charge of the Pokemon dub at the time. She held that position from 1980 to 2001, I believe. And during her time there, she composed dozens upon dozens of song lyrics for children's television. And many of them, and almost all of them for Pokemon, were sung by Mr. Vanni and Ms. D'Avena. Let's see. Giorgio Vanni is well known for, again, performing television theme songs, but he got a start in a band called Tomato, or Tomato, whatever the dominant pronunciation they decided on was. And Ms. D'Avena as well kind of has a similar career of doing a lot of music for television and just having made a very good career there. Mr. Vanni also has composing credits on a lot of these songs that I'm going to list. And the first one is Always Pokemon. Always Pokemon is the anime opening from the third season of the Italian dub of Pokemon, and this thing is the catchiest thing I have ever heard. It is very much a dance track. It's very fun to sing along to, and they have a lot going on in the instrumentation and the vocalists. You've got Giorgio Vanni and Cristina D'Avena singing, but you've also got like a lot of call and response in the background, what sounds like children chanting at some point, and it's so full of energy. The vocalists sound like they're having such a good time, and it's one of the songs that was on my work playlists when I was putting myself through college as a janitor. And, despite that being rather an unfun job, it's impossible not to smile when this song is on. It fills me with such a joy. You've heard this song as well, haven't you, Stephen? What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, yes, yeah. And by the way, the Italian Pokemon openings, along with a lot of the other work done by these folks, is pretty much all available on iTunes and other places. There's a big collection that has stuff from like the first 8 or 9 seasons called the Master Saga, which has a bunch of openings and some remixes. I think we'll probably talk about. These both have remixes that you've picked out. But yeah, it's really nice that we're able to. I mean, that's one of the reasons we're able to say so much about these is that they are fairly readily available compared to some other things we're going to talk about today. But I'm not sure I have too much. I mean, I like the songs a lot. I played them on the station, of course. This particular one, I actually think I have a little more to say about the remix version. There's a neat little instrument in there that I really like. But Anne, why don't you say a little bit about the actual content of this song? What is it actually talking about?
Well, it's very much in the line of Pokemon themes, like in English too. Like there's kind of a lot of just like energy and like travel the world, be with your friends, catch Pokemon and follow your dreams. And this one, is kind of along that theme. Like, I wouldn't say the lyrics go incredibly deep into, like, the meaning of life in the same way, like, a single for an ending movie theme might. But I do really like the chorus. Like, there's a lot of references to spinning a Pokeball and throwing a curveball and things like that, and the way the world spins, and the way life revolves a little bit, I guess. And, like, the translation I've got here is like, round and round the world, raise your flag when you've arrived. And kind of a feeling that adventures never really end, and you know, perseverance makes the world go round, things like that. It's not the deepest thing, but I really just love the passion and the energy that's behind it. Like, there are moments where the vocalists really dig into what they're saying about, like, let's all set out together and you know, power of friendship and all that. But they kind of dig in a way that reminds me very much of Rika Matsumoto when she sings as Satoshi, and the way, like, she gets that real guttural character sound in her voice. And so I feel like there's so much that's similar that I love about Pokemon, and yet there is so much new and unique and creative and unique to Italy, I guess.
And going on to the remix version, the reason I kind of wanted to point that out is that there's that synth lead that I can't quite recreate. I can hear it in my head, but it's kind of hard to actually sing what that is. You know which one I'm talking about? I believe it's in the Always Pokemon remix.
I know which one you're talking about. I've not listened to it as much. So you take it away.
Like I said, I can't actually like recreate it here, but give it a listen. The only thing is, some of the tracks on that, like the Master Saga album, especially the remixes, tend to have very awkward sort of ends there for whatever reason. They don't fade out or seem to have a proper ending for some reason. It seems like it's kind of weird. It made it a little difficult to use them on the station. Sometimes I had to sort of fudge things a little bit. But I think that's probably enough about Always Pokemon. You did pick out one other one, right?
Yes, I picked out Beyond the Skies of the Adventure. It does have a proper Italian title. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I'm really quite bad at it. I tried and practiced several times and it just came out terrible. But it is also sung by Giorgio Vanni. He also has a composer credit, the lyrics written by Alessandra Valeri Manera. The same team. It's a bit different, though. It's still kind of got, a pop dance track, but it starts out with these very moody elements and like a minor key and such. And as the song progresses, by the time it gets to the chorus, it has become more of a major key. So it's a little bit different musically, and it kind of just creates an emotional response in you, like such a determination and empowering change of mood. I very much like it. It's kind of similar but different to Always Pokemon.
Now, if my memory serves me, I believe this is the, time-wise at least, equivalent to Pokemon World in the English dub. Is that correct?
Yes, it is the opening for the Orange Islands season. Sorry.
That's okay. What about the actual content of the song itself? What is it sort of talking about?
Kind of similar things, the adventure, power of friendship, see the world. There's a lot of use of the word libertà, like freedom, and the idea of freedom being never-ending adventure, and freedom being like hard work and perseverance even, and maybe a little bit of suffering, and by training, you will become the best and achieve that freedom of adventure. So there's a lot of use of that. I kind of think is really interesting. Again, it being an opening theme, it is not the deepest. It is mostly about kind of the energy and the catching, but I think musicality of the song conveys a lot more emotion than the lyrics. The lyrics are not real metaphorical, but, they suffice. But the music that's underneath it creates such a mood within you that, like, by the end of the song, I feel like cheering. I feel like getting up and doing something proactive.
Yeah, that's definitely a feeling I get with a lot of the Italian openings, is that they're instrumentally and compositionally very well produced, very well performed, very energetically performed, which we would kind of expect for this type of franchise and this type of work. So definitely something worth checking out. And like you said, I do want to point out, you said that they had been, some of the folks on this had been working since like 1980 on some of this. So yeah, it was pretty common in Italy for the 80s, 90s, and into the 2000s for foreign TV shows that might have very well-known theme songs to get the completely different treatment in Italy. I did one of the other ones in this group that is not Pokemon related that I'm familiar with. Is I did eventually pick up the Italian equivalent of like the Mario cartoon opening themes when those started coming to Italy in 1990. It's pretty interesting stuff there. So I would suggest checking out some of the other cartoons. I know like they have an alternative theme for like Inspector Gadget and some other stuff from those eras. So
And I would definitely like to add and point out for these Italian songs, they're really so worth checking out. I can't say for sure. It might be because the team has been together and doing this since the 80s on other cartoons and for so long on Pokemon, but there is such a sincerity in these Italian songs. A professional singer has to bring that no matter what, but I don't feel like for a second anybody on this track was like, okay, we'll do a kid song and cash a paycheck. And I wonder if that might be because they worked together, the three of them, and worked for so long producing Pokemon theme songs. Like every note in this thing makes me believe with all my heart and soul that they love Pokemon as much as I do, and not a sense of pandering to kids or that this song was less because it was for a children's TV show at all. It's amazing. I love it so much.
Yeah, you definitely have to give them say that they put effort into it. I absolutely agree with that. Keep listening for more from this interview.